And happy Valentine's weekend, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Bird's Nest. I'm your host, CJ, with the Hog Side, and this is Condor himself, Miami Dolphins fanatic. Keyword on Finn.
Preach. What's
Zach, what's
going
going
on,
on?
y'all? Oh, we're doing, man. We're doing. Happy to be here. Happy to be with you, man. Happy to be talking football. We got one more, great game ahead of us tomorrow, and I'm excited to get to it.
Yes, definitely. I'm ready to get down to it as well. This is an amazing game. I'm glad to see both quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. This is something that we haven't seen in a while. Young quarterback versus veteran quarterback. Matt Stafford, Joe Burrow, OBJ versus Jamar Chase. The whole 9 yard. I'm with it. I'm ready for it. I'm ready to get down to it.
Mm-hmm.
Derek, what's up, man?
Hey, thanks for joining us, Derek. We appreciate you.
So, you guys know how this goes. This is brought to you by Velocity Sports. We're here to talk about the Super Bowl and everything that is going on inside of the NFL. If you guys see at the bottom, there's the point spread and how everything's supposed to go, the outcome of the Super Bowl. First thing first that we do want to talk about is let's talk about a little bit of this NFL honors recap. I'm not sure if anybody have actually watched the NFL Honors Award ceremony. I know I did. It's actually my first time watching it in a while. I've actually watched it from beginning to end, and it's just amazing to see that the amount of discipline that Zach Taylor envisions for the Cincinnati team. Usually, we see these guys, coming to the award ceremony, in suits and things like that. But no, Zach Taylor was like, hey, you guys can do the ceremony from the hotel. You guys going to relax. You guys going to be able to chill, things like that. And, that's exactly what happened. They accepted their awards via virtual at the hotel that they were staying at in LA.
I loved it. I thought that was awesome. Instead of kind of putting all that pressure on your team before the big game, just allow them to be themselves, relax, prepare for the moment, but enjoy all their hard work up to that point.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the winners of the NFL honors, right? We have Aaron Rodgers, of course, is AP most valuable player.
How's it not Tom Brady? Can I just say that?
I mean, listen, right? I think we all knew Aaron Rodgers was going to win AP, most valuable player. There was a lot of people. There was a lot of people that was upset and even booed Aaron Rodgers at the NFL Honors Award because they thought that Tom Brady was the front runner. But to be honest with you, just this goes to me saying, where most valuable player lies, right? People say, want to throw out stats when it comes to most valuable player. And, I don't think that it's about the stats, right? Most valuable player, ends in the efficiency of the player and how great that player makes them. And to be honest, Aaron Rodgers was that guy this year for Green Bay. Like, let's be honest, Aaron Rodgers is very highly efficient for Green Bay. We've seen when Aaron Rodgers went down and Jordan Love came in, it was a shit show. You know what I'm saying? So, I think that Aaron Rodgers is very much deserving. I'm glad to see Aaron Rodgers actually win most valuable player. He's also thinking about retirement as well. I don't think
we'll see it. Crazy. No,
yeah,
I don't think
I don't think we'll see it. It is possible that Tom Brady does make a comeback. He's still on the fence and haven't made his decision yet.
Here's what. Two things. I want to say this is my thought on the MVP award, and I feel so strongly about this. I think poor Tom Brady has fallen into a category of another great player in another sport, LeBron James. And that is, we're used to seeing his greatness. So therefore, when he does great things, it doesn't matter because we expect him to be at that level. And I don't think that's fair. The fact that Tom Brady led the league in passing yards and touchdowns this year at the age of 45 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, the dude almost passed for 5,500 yards. Like, what? The fact that Rodgers just under the rug got it. I get Rodgers. He was a bad man this year. He was.
Absolutely.
He did those things. He was out there. He said he was going to do it. He did it. He led those wins, took his team to the highest that he could take them to. But at the same time, go back to what I said. Like, I think we've become so accustomed to seeing Tom Brady perform at such a high level that we just kind of expect it, and we don't really see it as MVP level when he had every right to that MVP as much as Aaron Rodgers in my mind. Now, excuse me.
I'm indifferent about it. I kind of wanted to see Tom Brady win it, but I'm also happy to see Aaron Rodgers win MVP. Those two guys are very respectable. They did bring so much love and respect to that number 12, of course. I think when we see another guy wears the number 12, we're going to expect so much of them. Just like, guys wearing that number 4, guys wearing that number 8, guys wearing that number 7. So, definitely, it's, those guys are very respectable, and it's going to be weird not seeing these guys in the NFL. If they do plan on sticking to retirement, I doubt it. I think Tom Brady's definitely going to take the Brett Favre route. So
there's my next point. Tom Brady is going to wait. He's going to pump these brakes. He's going to calm down, enjoy his off season. And then I think we're going to see a Tom Brady come back and go to the 49ers and take that team right back where they were this year, but make it to the Super Bowl next year. Brady has this love for the 49ers that I don't think people really understand. Like, he grew up in those stands watching Joe Montana. Right. So if he can put on that, the red and gold and perform at a high level for those guys, he's going to do it. I don't see anywhere else he goes if he comes out, and I think that's why he planted that seed of, I might come back. Like, it's there. He's already thinking about it. I think the reason why he announced retirement in the first place is Gisele's like, hey, I'm tired of seeing you get your ass kicked. We ain't got time for that.
Well, Derek makes an interesting point here. Jonathan Taylor should have got it. He was Colts MVP, and without him, the Colts don't go on a win streak. Brady, Rodgers are default guys now.
Right. That goes into what I just said, though. We're so accustomed to seeing those guys play at a great level that it's default. Like he said, we just assume they're going to have great years. Where Jonathan Taylor, no one expected Taylor to have the year that he had. That's a wonderful point.
Yeah. You know what, Derek? I definitely agree with you. And this is a conversation that we had last year about the MVP and whether or not if quarterbacks are automatically on default. And I think it is. I think that quarterbacks are just as a default, and I don't think that they should be. I think that everybody should get a fair vote, but people vote and people wants the quarterbacks. But I think Jonathan Taylor definitely should have gotten it as well. He definitely showed that he is the most valuable player on that team. Because without him, they wouldn't have had the season that they had, and Carson Wentz wouldn't be as effective as he would have.
Amen.
Arguably.
Amen. And I do see one more little comment in here. I have to throw it out there. I see him talking about Zach Thomas being snubbed in the Hall of Fame again. I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, it was very upsetting. Honestly, for me, it was upsetting to see Zach Taylor not win Coach of the Year. You can't go against a guy who lost his franchise quarterback due to injury last year.
It's true,
right? And everybody's saying that the Bengals not going to make it. The preseason came around, and they said, not the preseason, the wild card came around, and they said the Bengals will not survive.
Yep.
And they have survived from the wild card to the divisional round, to the AFC Championship, and now we are here on the biggest stage in sports, the Super Bowl himself.
Yes,
Listen, sir. Zach Taylor definitely deserves Coach of the Year. I don't think Mike Vrabel should have won that. And a lot of people was trying to make a case and saying, well, Vrabel was still winning without Derrick Henry. I'm like, well, sure. When you got Julio Jones and AJ Brown, you know.
But it was really more Brown than Julio. Julio didn't really show up until like the end of the season. Like, and I don't even think he really showed up. He had a couple catches here and there, but it's like without AJ Brown, that team's nothing. Like Derrick Henry, AJ Brown are the two main focal points of that team, and you definitely saw how. I mean, let's just be real. How they scattered to get that offense to click when Henry went out. And then when they brought him back in, you could tell you couldn't fully put it back on Henry yet because he was trying to come back from that injury, and that offense couldn't do what they needed to do in order to get over the hump.
Absolutely. Like I said, I don't think I think Zach Taylor is definitely deserving of that Coach of the Year.
100%. I agree. I agree.
Offensive Player of the Year, my guy, the guy that I love so much, and I think that he is arguably one of the best wide receivers inside of this league.
Yep.
I definitely love this kid. He's definitely a grinder.
He's so humble. He's so humble.
He's so humble, man. He's so humble. Love it. Cooper Kupp won Offensive Player of the Year as he earned that right. He earned that
100%.
Right. We've seen this kid, grow from being a slot receiver to wide receiver 2 to arguably he's a wide receiver 1.
Oh, bona fide wide receiver 1. Like this dude, he's gonna be that guy for many more years to come. I do think it's weird. Okay, so there's sometimes you have guys in these leagues, they're good wide receivers, but then they really get that quarterback and that wide receiver get on the same page, and it just elevates their game. And absolutely. I think that's definitely what we're seeing with the Stafford Kupp, combo. Just like, okay, for instance, Devontae Adams, Aaron Rodgers. Those two together, disgusting combo. And I'd put that up there with Kupp and Stafford. They always find a way to get that play, to get that chunk play, to score a touchdown, or Kupp's always open. He's turning into 7-Eleven. Let's just be real.
Right. No, like Cooper Kupp has been amazing this year. Congratulations to him. Like I said, I definitely think he's very deserving. AP Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt. I think, we already knew, that was going to happen. Don't really need to go into it. He's a monster. He's a monster.
I don't hate it at all.
Exactly. He's a monster on that defense. So, I definitely think he's deserving of that as well. AP Comeback Player of the Year. We discussed it a little bit earlier in the show. Joe Burrow.
Love it.
You see the Bengals players in the back. They all sitting there at the hotel, just soaking it all in, things like that. So,
I love Joe Burrow. I do. Yeah. I'm just, oh man, the sky is the limit for the kid. The sky is the limit.
Listen, I tell people like this kid, looking back at him being in ACL tear. Let me be honest. The ACL tears doesn't work well for these quarterbacks, right. after that year, Yep. So to see him come back and to see his story on getting back and just checking out and just making sure that everything is fine, him having the support, Zach Taylor just saying, hey, you are the guy. I trust you. I trust your decisions. I'm putting it all on you. And he took it on his shoulders, and he's in the Super Bowl now. So definitely congratulations to Joe Burrow for that, man. He's a great kid, great personality, very humble, and I'm excited to see him on Sunday.
His personality is just so contagious. I just love everything about the kid. I love the way he holds himself, how he's able to just remain calm. I mean, look at, what was it, the divisional round? He got sacked 9 times, and they still won. Like, how many times do you really see a guy get sacked that many times and still win a football game? Like, still have the nerves to make the throws, not, oh my God, is there a guy breathing down my neck? Like, I'm going to miss this throw. Like, he doesn't care. He hangs in there. He lets it loose. Like, I've told everybody this, and I'm just going to keep saying it, and I'm glad we got people watching to hear me say it this time too. This is the next Joe Namath. This kid is the modern day Joe Namath. Joe Cool just puts himself in those spots. You can just see it. Just the way that he holds himself. Again, he calls the shots and he does it.
With the mink jacket on the sideline.
Yes. And the gold diamond chain. They're like the media is like, are those real diamonds? And he's like, I make too much money for it not to be real. Like, that's a Joe Namath line right there.
Like you said, his personality is contagious, and man, I'm excited. I'm excited to see him and Matt Stafford go toe to toe in the Super Bowl. So,
which I did. Yes, I did see. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Joe's lucky Pat Mahomes didn't play like he did in the first half of that championship game.
So, let me say this: that was a tale of two halves. And sometimes it takes a defense to make the correct adjustments at half to take away what Pat and them do well. And that's what you saw. You saw a team adjust properly, and you saw Joe Burrow turn it on. And that's why Mahomes is sitting on the couch at home.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. Let's see who's next. Offensive Rookie of the Year, of course, Jamar Chase.
It was just happy to see Jalen Waddle even in the conversation. We all knew Chase was going to get it, but it was nice to see Waddle up there. That man, he's going to be special down in South Beach. We all know it.
I think this rookie class of wide receivers has been phenomenal.
Oh yes,
they have been phenomenal in their own right. And then just like the younger wide receivers as well, like Justin Jefferson.
Yes.
Jalen Rager, even the young guy, I keep forgetting his name, from the Cardinals. Like this wide receiver class of
Rondale Moore.
Yeah, Rondale Moore. Like this the the 2021 wide receiver draft class has been phenomenal. They didn't let us down. We've seen how some of these wide receiver draft class has been going lately in these last couple of drafts. So, I'm just excited to definitely see these guys, make a statement inside of the NFL on their first year or their second year, definitely congratulations to those guys.
We have
defensive Rookie of the Year. Man,
unanimous.
Unanimous, right? And it's because I hate to say this, it's going to bring a very sour tongue in my mouth, but Dallas knew what they were doing when they drafted this kid, Micah Parsons. Okay, you heard the name. You've seen the guy. You've seen how effective he is. You see how dominant he is. He doesn't play just one side of the field.
Right.
He's just dominant in all aspects of that defense, no matter where he is. This kid, when he got drafted, I already knew that wherever he went, he was going to make a presence on that field. Yeah. And it just so happened that he went to a team where a presence is known, however you look at it, right? And him being in Dallas really shaped up that defense. It just sucks that they wasn't able to overcome, the adversity, in that divisional game, but Michael Parsons, this is just the beginning for this kid. And he's been, apparently, from what we've seen recently, is he's been playing injured since week 3. Wow. He strained his quad in week 3, and he's been playing full speed since. And he said, it's even to this day, it's still bothering him. But he said, he just refused to sit out and let it heal. And you know how it is. We don't want this guy to, injure himself, but just that alone shows how dedicated he is to this game.
Yep, his heart's in it. His heart is 100% in the game, and I think, as much as I hate to say this, that's great for the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you got a guy who wants to be out there, who wants to play every down. Doesn't matter if his body's hurt or whatever. He has an ailment. He wants to be on that field performing at the highest level. And, we all want that for our teams. So for Dallas to get a guy like that, that's huge moving forward. I'd say play a little devil's advocate here. I think we have to give as much credit to Dan Quinn and his system as we do to Micah Parsons. Because Quinn's system is so right up Parsons' alley, and you see it. So my question would be, what's going to happen if Quinn decides to leave in the next year or two? Are we going to see Parsons kind of have to struggle with that up-down, new system? Or is he going to be okay to do what he's doing?
Absolutely. And let's bring in Albatross. We ain't seen this guy in a while. Hey, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Not too bad. How about yourself?
I'm all right, man. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. We glad to have you back, man. How does it feel to be back?
Feels good. Glad to be here, sitting here talking with you guys. It's always fun.
Definitely.
It has been a minute. So let's see, where are we at here? What we got left to talk? Because I'm itching to get to that next topic, if you know what I mean.
We are at AP Assistant Coach of the Year, which was Dan Quinn.
Hey, what do you know?
Dan Quinn, AP Assistant Coach of the Year. Honestly, I give it to him.
Yeah, for sure.
I give it to him. Honestly, I kind of want to also give it to Mike McDaniels.
Yeah, I could see there's a couple guys for sure you could give it to this year based on how teams performed. But I do think you have to give it to Quinn based on the significant jump that defense took from last year to this year. Like, they were just terrible last year and just went up to a whole new level in his system.
I definitely agree. Walter Payton Man of the Year is Andrew Whitworth. If you guys don't know Andrew Whitworth, I actually follow Andrew Whitworth and his level of dedication to community service, and his foundation with his wife, the Whitworth Foundation. It's such a good charitable organization. I've been reading up on it for the last couple of years now, and they have done a tremendous job with giving back to the community in all aspects, whether it's from the youth to feeding the homeless, and to just like when the lockdown was happening to the pandemic, they teamed together with Meals on Wheels, and they provided over 1,000 meals during the pandemic with and just showed a tremendous amount of community service to their community. So Andrew Whitworth, we all love to see our team leaders, of our team, as a recipient, right? But I think Andrew Whitworth is definitely deserving of this. I'm glad to see him win Walter Payton Man of the Year. He's finally in the group of community activists within the NFL.
Interesting enough, I love the little piece I'm not sure many have heard. So when Burrow was rehabbing last year, Whitworth was rehabbing at the same time. Burrow didn't really know anybody, didn't really have a lot of friends in the league. Mm-hmm. Whitworth reached out to him, and they actually rehabbed together and hung out a ton. Joe Burrow was at Whitworth's house on his birthday, hanging out. Like, the connection and the respect that they gained for each other last year, huge. And then you see both of them playing at the highest level, able to make it to the big stage. I think that's just one of those cool stories in the NFL.
And Andrew Whitworth has been in the league for 12 years.
Wow.
12 years, and still grinding it out the way he is, and just keep continuously being the top tackle in the league. It's just so exciting to see Andrew Whitworth just give it his all. on the field and off the field. He's a great family man. Great family man. Does everything for his kids. He showed his kids that no matter what, you have to give back. That is the implementation that he has inside of his household, as he spoke about it at the NFL Honors. So big respect to Andrew Whitworth, man, and the Whitworth Foundation, winning the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. Let's talk about the FedEx Air and Ground Player of the Year. Tom Brady winning FedEx Air Player of the Year. Of course, he's the only guy who has over 5,000 yards in the season.
Mm-hmm.
And the FedEx Ground Player of the Year, Jonathan Taylor, unanimously, being the top guy with 1,800 plus yards in the season rushing. And how many touchdowns? About 18 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is definitely deserving for both players. Bridgestone Performance Play of the Year goes to none other than the 66-yard field goal by Ravens Justin Tucker. When they said the field goal kick, and I'm like, what? Then I seen that it was the 66-yard field goal, and I'm like, you know what? Yes. Now, there's definitely a Performance Play of the Year decision that you want to talk about, because, the way he made that field goal was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
It hit the goalpost, hit the side of the goalpost, and then for the win. I don't know if anybody else can agree, but I would. That's ones when you drop. Your stomach drop as a fan, right?
Oh yeah, you almost make a 70-yard field goal. It needs to be talked about. Like, that's insane.
Definitely. So Justin Tucker, he holds he holds the crown as the lowest field goal.
That's crazy. I don't think anybody's going to touch it. Really, I don't see another kicker having the leg that Tucker's had over the course of his career.
Absolutely.
I do like this McPherson guy for Cincinnati, but it's early.
I agree. So we're gonna move on. We're gonna switch gears here. We're gonna talk about Miami signing Mike McDaniels and shaping up the staff to win.
Where to begin?
Unless Stephen Ross pays him $100,000 to lose.
True. We won't get to that right now. So, we're taking all organizational garbage out of the discussion here. We're just going to talk about the buns. We can't talk about the meat because that involves the organization. We can talk about the buns. We can talk about how we can set this sandwich up right.
I love your optimism.
Someone's got to be. Come on, 20 years of this junk. It has to end with some time, right? So, coming from a diehard 49er fan, I want to ask you, what do you think about McDaniel coming down? Uh-oh, he misspelled it. There's no S on that. We apologize, Miami fans. Don't shun me later. Mike McDaniel. What do you think about him coming down to Miami?
Horrible decision, Mike. Horrible decision.
Whoa.
I don't know. He's a great offensive mind. If there's anybody who's going to be able to help where they're in need of help, I think he's a good choice. I just enjoy who he was. He doesn't judge people by the dollar bills that they make. He just judges people by the actions that they take. And I think that's probably the best way to handle football players, because, you're going to have players who are going to make money, and you're going to have players who are going to be not making so much money. You just have to treat them the way that football players want to be treated, and that's just these guys are men, and they want to be treated like such, and just let them play, let them find ways to make them better. I don't really think football players get into the football to be political about it, or businessmen or anything like that. That comes later, but I think he'll do a good job at scheming things, using the players that you do have. Right now, obviously, we haven't got to free agency to see what is going to be done there, but The players you do have, I think he'll find ways to utilize their best talents in the ways that they need them to be utilized.
I totally agree. I think the biggest thing for me, I mean, I've watched this team my whole life, you know me. And the last who was before Joe Philbin? Wasn't that I see his face, Sperano. Man, I've seen so many coaches in my lifetime already that it's just like, holy moly.
The only one that I remember that was worth anything was Wanstead.
Yeah, that was way back when. I remember Dave. I remember Cam Cameron, Tony Sperano. I mean, you got Joe Philbin, Adam Gase. Like, it took me a minute to be convinced on the Brian Flores side, but he convinced me he was a winner. Now, we talk all the time. The only thing that I had questions about him going into, if we were going to retain him before he got fired was what's he going to do offensively? Mm-hmm. Bringing in yet another new offensive staff is a huge question mark. Now, when we bring in Mike, obviously he is the offensive mind. He knows what he wants to do with that side of the ball. Mm-hmm. So for him to retain the DC, Boyer, things of that such so far is huge. Now, in reference to his staff, it's interesting because his staff's starting to come together quite well. It's been interesting to see some of the guys who left San Francisco, which we've talked about, like, a huge one being Wes Welker. I thought it was interesting that he took a lateral move. He left that very uber talented wide receiver group. Right now, in my mind, you got Waddle. Parker, we've seen what Parker can do, but the dude's not healthy enough for me to say that he's that good. Preston Williams is usually hurt. Poor Will Fuller got his finger shattered and wasn't able to really do anything. And there's just not a whole lot of depth there. So it's just crazy to me that he took that lateral move down there. But I guess that says a lot about McDaniel and how people like to follow him and what they believe in him as a coach. I need to pull this up real quick so I can make sure I'm giving the exact facts here. But when it comes down to it, I know we got Welker. We brought down Embry, which I believe was your tight ends coach also. So I'm very excited to see. I hope we keep Gesicki because I really think the tight end coach that we brought in from you guys can help him ascend to that next level. I mean, you're coaching a guy like George Kittle, premier tight end in the league. If you can coach him up, you can coach anybody up. And so here's where we're at. We don't quite know who he's going to put in as the OC quite yet. Obviously, we know Mike's going to call his own plays. He went ahead and told us that in his press conference, which right there, in my mind, says a lot from Flores to him. Flores only really gave you the information that he felt you needed to know, where Mike will tell you pretty much anything you want to know if you ask the right question. Mike's not afraid of anything. He's not afraid of anything to be out there, and he's all about just showing you what he's about. Like you said, his personality. I love his personality, and I think he's shown us more in the last week than we got in the last 5 coaches of a personality. And that's what I think this organization needs. Clearly, the hard-nosed, tough route didn't work for him because a lot of them got their feelings hurt, and that's just a conversation for another time because that's just a bunch of baby stuff to me. But at the end of the day, if you want McDaniel and McDaniel is able to get you right, cool. He's retaining Josh Boyer, obviously. Our special teams coach, Danny Crossman, he's retaining. He is keeping Eric Studsville, who was one of our co-OCs, but he's moving him to a running backs coach. Tight end assistant coach is John Embry, who is the guy that I told you came from you guys. And then we have a defensive line coach in Austin Clark who stays. Charles Burks, our cornerbacks coach, stays. And the linebacking coach, Anthony Campeline, he stays as well. So we really need the O-line, the OC, things of that to kind of get solidified. But for the most part, you're starting to kind of see how his staff's going to shape up. And I think I think it's a pretty promising staff. I mean, from the things that I hear about Wes Welker and how he's able to break down what's installed each week for his guys and kind of simplify things and make sure that they understand what their duties are as wide receivers, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge for Waddle's growth and potentially any other wide receivers we bring in. There's talks of Calvin Ridley, all sorts of top-notch wide receivers, Chris Godwin potentially, who could be down there next year. I mean, if you can rebolster that wide receiver room and have someone like Welker in there every day, just getting on those guys, that could be potentially the strength of the team. Now, McDaniel did something that I raved about as soon as it happened, and that was reaching out to Tua and basically saying, "You're our guy," putting trust in him when no one else prior to this point has really put any trust in that guy whatsoever. Like, how do you expect someone to perform at a high level when you can't even really give them the "you're our guy, go win us something"? Like, no one's going to perform in an environment like that. Like, would you want to go down there and try to perform at your highest level if you're always constantly looking over your shoulder and worrying if you're getting ready to get shipped out the door?
I mean, again, though, these conversations lead to the conversations that are the
Oh
meat,
yeah.
not the buns.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, again, we're talking about bad business decisions. The fact that you had an owner that was willing to pay people to lose games created
Gross.
confrontation, and it creates friction when you have. I don't think Brian Flores is a bad coach. Period. As a person who played football, no, I didn't play it at any high level, but playing football, I want a guy who's going to just shoot me straight. He's going to tell me what he wants, and don't be soft. I mean, I don't know if anyone's recognized, but the game of football is not soft itself. It's very physical. It's very violent. It's very aggressive, and I feel like some guys lose that edge and that hard nosed edge that needs to be there. I mean, you talk about a guy like Brian Flores who came from Bill Belichick and that Patriot winning way. I mean, did it not win? I mean, did it not prove that straight up hard nosed football wins? I mean, 6 Super Bowl trophies. I think it shows that style of football wins. Now, is it good for every player that ever comes across it? Most likely not. Not every player wants to be told that he needs to be better, he's not doing good enough, or basically being cut down to grow.
Right.
Not every player deals with that well. So I think what we're seeing is a lot of bad business dealings that were coming from the top half of this organization, filtering down through. You had guys who couldn't even agree on quarterbacks who to draft. You guys wanted to tank for Burrow. Obviously, you had a head coach that's like, "Screw you, we don't tank. That's not what we do."
Yep.
And then you see it the following year. And then again, you guys. And here's the thing, and this is where I give everyone. I heckle everyone over this. Like, everyone had this huge issue with Justin Herbert coming into the draft. Oh, this kid's not going to be good. He may win a few games, but he's not going to be good. Well, I hope everyone's sitting down and eating their bowl of Wheaties because he's good. I make the statement anywhere that he's the best quarterback in the AFC West. People will argue with me, but that's okay. I think he is a way better pure passer than Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes makes plays. Yeah, he does. But again, you take away Tyreek Hill, in my opinion, and that offense is pedestrian.
Subpar.
Pedestrian, just floating around in the middle of the ocean.
Yep.
So I look at Justin Herbert, who had a horrible offensive line and willed a 32nd ranked offensive line his rookie year to actually be decent. But I see the same things in Tua. Maybe I'm a homer a little bit because Steve Young said that he really enjoyed him. I mean, if you get accolades from any 49er person, I'm going to definitely look at you. I think Tua is going to be just fine. People claim he's too small. He's got too small of an arm. But, again, everyone says Jimmy Garoppolo isn't a winning quarterback. But, I mean, he's almost 30 games over 500. So, I don't know. Most people need to go to an optical, get their optics checked out because they don't know how to watch football, in my opinion.
It's true. It's true. Jimmy G's only lost, 2 games in the postseason all time?
Yep.
I don't know what more you want. I mean, I guess someone would want a guy who's never lost, a game in the postseason. But that's just unrealistic. You're going to have guys who are going to lose, but you want guys who are going to get you there. And clearly, Jimmy has shown he can get you there.
Yep. And
so this whole narrative
Tua can do the same thing. I think he has.
Yeah.
I mean, he. Now, do I think going to Alabama is a thing that hurts players? I think it does. Let's be honest. What's the minimum rating you probably have your teammates sitting next to you in your quarterback room? Like, they're probably minimum 4-star recruits, 5-star recruits. There's no way that you're ever going to fully be able to sit out there for 3 years and just completely put your game out there. It could change year to year. Now we have, Nick Saban saying that Bryce Young is one of the best quarterbacks he's ever coached. He just had a room full of 3 starters in Jalen Hurts, Tua, and Mac Jones. All 3 of them start in the NFL. Yeah. So again, Alabama is always a great place to go because it's almost a guaranteed ticket to get drafted. Yep. But at the same time, I feel like it hinders growth for some players. I think Tua is going to be just fine. I think he had the chances to grow. He's played in the national championship. He understands big stages. He's played in loud stadiums, which, the SEC has. I think he'll be just fine. He just needs, again, a quarterback's coach that's going to build him up and not tear him down.
I totally agree. Yeah, I'm so tired of hearing this Tua as a bust talk. We haven't given this kid the tools to be successful. If we had given him an offensive line where he can actually make the 3-step drop or the 5-step drop and actually be able to actually get that last foot on the, that drop step before getting plastered, cool. Then we'd have this conversation. But he hasn't. We still had, for some reason, the worst offensive line ever with Jesse Davis. How the dude played the whole season, I'll never know, because that dude is absolute garbage, and I will continue to say that until he's off the team. Like, I'm so tired of seeing this guy. He was supposed to be a bridge gap to a future lineman, and we're continuously giving this dude contract extensions. What a joke. I'm sorry.
Bad business dealings.
You're not going to get any better. There's not much more you're going to get out of this dude. Cut your weight while you can.
Yep.
You have Robert Hunt, you have Liam Eichenberg, Austin Jackson people get mad at, but I think this zone scheme, you're going to see Jackson play at a high level in this zone scheme.
Mm-hmm. Well, it doesn't take a mauler to play in a zone scheme. It takes someone who's a little more agile. When I look at those guys, I see more agile. I don't see maulers. But again,
the only mauler on the line is Robert Hunt. That's it.
Yep, and again, you have to remember your right side of your line has to be your run side, has to be your physical side. Yep. Your left side's your technique, your finesse, your agility. Yep. I mean, look at the 49ers left side. You have the best left tackle in the NFL in Trent Williams, and he's paired with Laken Tomlinson. They're both big guys. They can maul people, but they're more finesse. They're going to block that blind side. Go to the right side. You get McGlinchey, who, tore his quad, but it was Tom Compton, some other guys who were just playing hard, heavy-nosed run football. That's what you got to see out of this line. I mean, you're going to see similar things put into play that you saw put into play in San Francisco. It's inevitable. I mean, there's only so many ways you can string an offense together. So, I mean, you're going to see similarities, and I think it just depends on how they execute and how they handle what's coming at them. And again, I think Mike McDaniel will do a good job of explaining to them what their role is, why they're doing that role, and why that role is a necessity to a winning equation.
100%. And again, what does every quarterback need to be successful in this league? An offensive line and a running game. What are the 2 things that Miami hasn't had
since Ricky Williams? I mean, sorry.
Yeah, let's be real. An offensive line and a running game.
Mm-hmm.
I've been saying it for past couple months. I mean, you talk about it all the time. Obviously, you're a huge Iowa State guy. Breece Hall needs to be the guy that Miami targets in this upcoming draft, whether it's the 29th pick that we got from you guys in the first round or, one of the first picks that we get in the second round. It needs to be Breece Hall. I don't care what people say about Kenneth Walker and the dude out of BYU and people saying that Brees can't pass block. If that's the truth, then why was he one of the best running backs in the nation last year and got the award for it?
That's because he plays for Iowa State. I mean, people will look at BYU because there's history there. People look at all these other places because of the history of these colleges, not due to the players' performance necessarily. And if anyone had actually taken time to watch film on ISU and watch how Brees Hall affected the game and how he was able to continuously put points on the board for that offense, alleviate pressure off of a quarterback who is not top tier in my opinion. Brock Purdy had moments of really strong play and then had moments of just complete idiocracy. I had no idea.
Bonehead moves. Oh,
exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, but the one consistent was Brees Hall. Ken Nwangu got drafted by the Vikings. He's a special teamer for the Vikings. But you see it. He was the only guy last year with 2 touchdowns. Why? Because of his straight line speed and his field vision.
Yep.
And that goes to Brees. Brees has really good field vision. He's patient. He can take hits. He can also shed block or shed hits. He can get off of the that yards after contact is a real thing. So I mean, I think you're getting a back who can catch. You get a back who can run. You get a guy who can finish. And I think that's the key word is finish. How many times you see running backs jump out there and big old 30, 40-yard run, and then they, get caught. They're not able to finish. I think he can finish. I think if, whoever gets him, whoever picks up Brees Hall, I think is going to get their number 1 running back in Brees Hall, personally.
I totally agree. I'm hoping it's down in South Beach, but, like we say, the organization doesn't always make the right moves.
Right. I mean, well, let's just rewind. Let's say
the return.
Let's say we flip let's flip it, right? The Dolphins draft Herbert, the Chargers draft Tua. What do we see there? What would change?
I think we see Tua play at a high level that first year because of the weapons in the line that he had. Kind of obviously it wasn't great, but it's still a better line than Miami.
I agree with that. I just again, it's all about support. I mean, the fact that even Justin Herbert had the support of Anthony Lynn when Tyrod Taylor's getting stabbed in the lungs by a doctor.
Crazy.
I mean, the crazy situation that propelled Justin Herbert into that spotlight was huge. So I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see how he changes this year with a coach who supports him.
100%.
Absolutely. Well, we're talking about, the NFL. Will the NFL fix the minority hiring process going forward?
I doubt it, but we can hope.
My question is, or actually it's not even really a question, it's more of a statement. When we fix social norms that are accepted in the outside world, outside of the NFL, things will then be adjusted inside the NFL. Until you make 32 billionaires feel a little bit of pain in their pocket, that's going to be the only way you're going to change. And again, I say this, and this is the statement I think really just kind of flattens out this whole topic. If a minority is good enough to play the game of football, why is a minority not good enough to head coach?
To coach, exactly.
That's just the way I look at it. Some of the greatest players we've ever seen have been minorities. Why are they not allowed to coach? I think it's just a bunch of bigotry in our billionaire owners. That's what I think it is.
Yeah, if you good enough to coach, you should be able to run a team as well.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't take 3 or 4 guys to own a team, right? You know what I'm saying? Where that's the only way a minority will actually have a shot. You know what I'm saying? This is crazy.
Yeah.
So
it's just absurd that minorities have to have 4 or 5 different people congregate to get an ownership going. I mean, the only minority owner we have is Shad Khan, and that guy is, I don't even like to admit it, but still, I mean, he's a minority. We got to accept truth for what it is, and he's
absolutely
the only minority owner out of 32 owners. You're telling me, really? Like, come on.
And he's doing a shit job at that.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's never been good. But still, just the fact that It just blows my mind. It just blows my
Yeah,
mind.
it's just crazy because I hate to put the NFL in the spotlight like that, because when you look at it, when you look at the hiring process for these coaches, right? Let's look at Jim Caldwell. Let's look at Todd Bowles. Let's look at Anthony Lynn. Let's look at let's look at these guys, right?
Yeah.
And these guys were dealt a bad hand, when they were hired as a head coach.
Yep.
Right, where they were given about a year or two, where a process of rebuilding a Jets team, the process of rebuilding the Chargers team, at the time, it's just one of those things where the rebuilding process doesn't take in a year or two. It takes a good 3 to 5 years for a team to be fully rebuilt. We see it with Miami. We see it with Miami. We've seen it with the Bengals. We've seen it with the Chargers. We've seen these teams who were who 6-7 years ago, people thought they were never going to be good. And you see that things are changing, after those 6-7 years, and now they're in the playoffs. Bengals are in the playoffs. Chargers made a playoff run. It's just these teams where you give a rebuilding process time, and they didn't give these minority coaches the time. We watched Jay Gruden be the coach of Washington for 5 years straight. So
And it was bad.
We watched Jim Zorn be the head coach of Washington. You know what I'm saying? We watch. It's just a lot of things that you can say about a lot of these minority coaches not be given a fair shot. Let's even say David Culley, right? Let's look at Culley, for instance, right? Where he was listed as the interim coach, and he almost changed. He didn't almost. He did change the outcome of that Texan season, right? They could have went 0 for 17 for God's sakes. But he pulled out a lot from those players.
He actually showed us that Davis Mills was a pretty good quarterback. I even hesitated to say it was a good idea. I was like, oh man, I don't know.
Yeah.
Run with Tyrod Taylor. He knows what he's doing. And then again, though, but I don't know. I just think being crazy sometimes is not accepted until it shows that it's proven success.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like when you look at Culley and when you see him, like you said, he pulled Davis Mills out into the spotlight and was like, hey, you're going to mess up a few times, but I'm going to stick with you. Yep. And we see Davis Mills, we've seen that Davis Mills can become a hell of a quarterback.
Yep.
We've seen this. And, it just sucks that another coach is given the reins. I'm glad it's Lovie Smith, right? But even Lovie Smith was a forced hand. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. It was a forced hand. I believe if this lawsuit was done, if this lawsuit hasn't been done, Lovie Smith will not be the head coach of the Texans as we speak.
Right.
Yep. I mean, and we were talking the other day, and the question was asked to me was, why is Brian Flores throwing shade at Lovie Smith? And I just responded. I was like, I don't think that he's throwing shade.
Yeah.
I was like, I think he's pointing out that it's
it took this
Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Right? They're just like, oh look, we hired the black guy. We did it. It's one of those.
Yeah.
They don't want to hire him because he's got the intangibles. He's coached a team to a Super Bowl. He's done the right things. I'm not saying Lovie Smith is a bad head coach.
And let me be honest, right?
Him in spite of, right?
And you absolutely right. And this is not throwing salt on Miami, right? It's not throwing salt on Mike McDaniels. He does deserve to at least be considered for a head coaching spot. McDaniel. But let's be real. If that minority case wasn't listed, for him, I don't think he would have left San Fran. I don't think he would be a head coach anywhere. I hate to throw the shade there because, I love what Miami has done despite the Brian Flores situation and the Stephen Ross allegations with the tanking situation and stuff like that.
Yep.
But I love Miami. I love what they've done. With this rebuilding process, and I like Mike Daniel. I like Mike McDaniel. I think that he is a hell of an offensive coach, and he's definitely deserving of a head coaching job. But sometimes you just have to address the elephant in the room, and the elephant is there. And until we address it and remove this elephant from the room, this elephant will continue to sit here and overcrowd what good is there, right? So I mean, it's just a lot. It's just a lot with this NFL, and it just sucks that there's a lot that's going on in Washington. That's why it's like I can't even focus on what Roger Goodell is doing, as far as with the hiring process. There's so much going on in Washington. There's so much going on in Washington, right? We are on a clock right now. There's a clock that is constantly ticking down to Valentine's Day, folks. So why we're talking about it, right? Did the NFL do their part in this Dan Snyder investigation? No.
So,
but hey, before
they
you
didn't.
start, this is the perfect point. They want to hide their billionaires and keep the ones that are there, keeping their pockets fat.
Yep.
They're not going to push hard to push one of these guys out of here. What a coincidence that Denver, behind the curtain, had their ownership sold. They're finding all these owners and people to own the Denver Broncos. Who knew? I mean, most Broncos fans didn't even know their team was being sold.
Yep.
Right. Nobody knew that they was in the process of selling.
Yeah. I mean, until Roger Goodell came out in an interview, I think 2 weeks or a week before the NFC Championship, AFC Championship game, and then he makes the comment, "Oh, we're looking for owners for the Broncos." Well, I wonder why.
Dirty business.
Why. Dirty business. I mean, I think more and more we're going to see that, unfortunately, the organizations that we follow are a hell of a lot dirtier than what a lot of people ever wanted to admit or point out.
Absolutely.
So I think,
go ahead.
Early on, I would say the NFL totally dropped the ball. The only thing that I liked what they did here recently was when Snyder came out and he's like, "Oh, we hired an independent firm to check into the allegations, and they'll be taking care of it." No. NFL said, "Hold the presses. You're not going to do that. We're going to do that."
Here's the reason why I don't want to give Roger Goodell and the NFL credit, right? Because again, that was a forced hand, right? Before that happened, Congress said, "Listen, we're going to give you guys until Valentine's Day, okay? We're going to give you guys the Valentine's Day to hand over any documents, any voice recording, any evidence that you have as far as that is against Dan Snyder. You have until Valentine's Day, my friend. And if you don't give us this information, then we will take matters into our own hands, right?" And there's a lot of fans that says the Congress and the government should butt out, but no. Congress does not need to butt out. Okay, this is not about Washington anymore. This is about what's been going on behind closed doors, with these front office organizations, not just in Washington, but in the whole NFL. What is going on behind closed doors with these front offices? And just speaking about Washington, listen, like what Roger Goodell, what he's doing now is throwing Dan Snyder under the bus, saying that you cannot. He said that you cannot conduct your own investigation, but then I'm like, wasn't you the same guy last year during this rebranding process when they changed the name and stuff, where you didn't do anything when they did conduct their own investigation within Washington? Weren't you that same guy that didn't speak up? So that's why
that's the culture in the NFL. Have your cake and eat it too. Whatever's convenient for you, you're gonna roll with.
Exactly. Well, now he can't have his cake and eat it too because now Congress is involved. And if everything is true, what's been going on in the NFL, not only with this Dan Snyder investigation, but also with the Stephen Ross and the David Mara and the Denver Broncos allegations with John Elway being drunk, at these conferences and these meetings, Roger Goodell will have no choice but to step down as commissioner of the NFL. Mm-hmm. He won't have any choice but to step down. There's a lot of owners who also will be voted out. again, addressing the elephant in the room, and I was asked, do I really believe Dan Snyder will be forced to sell the team? Yes. I think that Dan Snyder will be forced to sell this team before the draft comes around.
That'd be the best thing that ever happened to that franchise.
And the reason why is because before I was the guy that always said the reason why Dan Snyder hasn't went down yet is because he plays a major role in whatever's going on backstage with these NFL owners. He plays a major role. And it's just like Jones. Exactly. And it's just like what you see with the former president, the name that he should not be known on this podcast.
Agent
Orange.
Amen.
Is when you have leverage, inside of an organization, you keep this guy happy. So the dominoes is definitely going to fall. The dominoes is going to fall, and it's going to fall aggressively, in the next couple of months. And we're going to see everything just wide open. Everything's going to be wide open in the next couple of months. Actually, in the next 24 to 48 hours. So right now, Washington is on the clock, is on the ticking time clock, and that clock is going down. And as those seconds are going down, everybody is biting their fingers right now. And every day, everybody's biting their fingernails trying to figure out what exactly. People's asking, can the NFL release information about other organizations? They won't have a choice.
Yeah, they're gonna have to.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. We gave you a chance. We gave you a chance to give up the information that only had Washington involved, but you didn't because you were afraid that the people who came with these allegations, their name is going to get leaked. I'm like, to be honest, listen, I'm just going to flat out and say it. I hate the people who, well, not hate. I'm very against people who want to put things in the limelight but don't want to be noticed. When you leak things like this, like 13, 15, 20 years of sexual assault and sexual, allegations and things like that, people are going to want to know who said it.
Own it.
Well, it's like, so when the NFL did hire that independent investigation and all that, it came out here a couple of days ago that during this whole ordeal, the Washington organization is withholding 109,000 documents.
Yes. Correct.
Holy moly. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm. Yep. They're holding over 100,000 documents. They held over 100,000 documents during that investigation. And to be honest, it's the NFL's fault. It's the NFL's fault. You didn't give no specific diagrams of this investigation. You didn't say what exactly did you want. You just say, hey, we need to do a clean sweep of the organization, make sure there's anything. It was pretty much just like, if you guys been in college and when they do the RA sweep, it's like, hey, we just want to check and make sure everything is good. It's not really a sweep. They're just going around making sure there's nothing out of place. And then you're like, all right, cool, going on about your business. And that is what happened. And because of that happened, because the poorly investigating that Roger Goodell and the NFL team has done with the investigation on Washington, it's bad. Yeah. It's bad.
No, it's bad. It's bad, but so far, as a 49er fan, I'm feeling pretty proud of my team. We're not coming up in any of this stuff, so I'm happy about it.
This is good.
Yeah, like the only thing...
point, all teams are at risk. You can't tell me that all teams haven't at one point in time had something stupid like this conducted in their facilities.
Yep.
So it'll be good. I think it's good for the NFL to clear the air. The NFL needs to be completely transparent. The NFL needs to be honest with itself, with its fans, and they just need to continue to try to run a transparent operation that, if it's not for people like us three sitting here who give them billions of dollars year in and year out, start to piss us off and make us go away. That's how we can really get to them, though. Stop watching the game. Stop showing up to the game. Yeah, I love the game of football, but to make change with these people, you have to make them feel it. You have
It's
to
true.
make them feel it hard in the place that they only care, and that's in that pocketbook.
There's this poll on Twitter that says if Dan Snyder sells the team, will Washington fans go back into buying season tickets?
Yeah.
You'll be surprised that
I think
right now 85% said yes so far. And I'm with them.
Why do you want to support
definitely.
a POS like him? I mean, there's really no other way to cut it. But then people, you have it's like, oh, if Dan Snyder's like this, well, there's going to be other ones. He's not an anomaly. He's not a singular entity that's acting like this.
There are some names that I have listed. I'm not going to say the names. I don't want to throw out speculation, but there are names. There are organizations that I think will be a part of this domino effect.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Unfortunately, I think I shouldn't actually say unfortunate at all. I should be hopefully one of those includes Stephen Ross getting out of here, because I'm sorry, but this dude, if it's come out that he was paying Flores $100,000 to lose, that's the integrity of the game, and that's just too much. You're gone.
Yeah,
it was just like Hugh Jackson in Cleveland.
Yeah,
he told came out right after Brian Flores did. That guy lost 36 of 40 games.
Right, and this Rooney Rule just has to go. This Rooney Rule has to go.
No, if you're following it because you're hiring people because they're qualified, then sure. If you're doing if you're hiring minorities in spite of the Rooney Rule to fulfill that rule, then no, it's just it needs to be changed. Obviously, the verbiage needs to be adjusted.
Right, because to be honest, I like the Rooney Rule. I like what the Rooney Rule entails, right?
Yeah.
Just to make sure that, no minorities are,
overlooked.
left out, overlooked and things like that, right? Yes, but I think that because of the amount of traditional owners that we have, right? Keyword on traditional. The amount of traditional.
Good old boy is what we should
say.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Ignorant people stuff.
Because of the owners that we have, it's just that when you look at it, they abuse this Rooney Rule. They abuse this Rooney Rule, right? And this Giants situation with Brian Flores and Brian Dable is definitely a key experience in this, because when you hire somebody, you already know that this guy is your guy, and you're still out here conducting interviews. That isn't right. You know what I'm saying? That isn't right. And that's not just like in an NFL setting. That is in a general work setting. You already know you hired somebody. Don't go conducting interviews because you missed your mark on the Rooney Rule, where everybody has to be you have to interview a minority or two. And that's why I say that this Rooney Rule definitely is is abused. Like, it would have been okay if you would have said, hey, Brian Flores, I want to bring you in, Lovie Smith, let me bring you in for an interview. And then, you go ahead and then, you sit down with Dable and it's like, all right, you hold preliminary interviews and then say, hey, I'm going to run with Dable, right? That way you cover your ass, right?
Yep.
But then, you already hired the guy. You already wrote the guy a contract. You told him, hey, we're going to send you a private jet. We're going to send you, not even a private jet. We're going to send you, some cars because you're in Buffalo. We're going to send you a set of, we're going to send you a car to bring you down here to MetLife. You sign this contract and everything. Boom. You already hired this guy. You were still conducting interviews prior to. So, again, that could definitely lead to, a lot of things as well. I'm not sure. I know the Giants. Mara won't be in the running of selling the Giants. That's a long shot. But I definitely think that it should be investigated with a lot of other things as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree.
100%.
It's like I'm very big on being fair. That's why I like the signing of Miami and keep saying Josh McDaniel, Mike McDaniel. That's why I love the sign of Mike McDaniel, and I think he would do great in Miami. I love what he's doing so far, and the offseason hasn't even started yet. So there's big things to come for Miami.
Wow.
Also in Washington, I do want to say that the Commanders is growing on me.
No. Like, I'm sorry. If you put your PR team to work on this and you picked a name that looks like it came out of the AFL, like, get the hell out of Tuesday. The Commanders. Man, you went from being the Indians to the people who killed the Indians.
It's a look, right? And the narrative of that, right? It's like I do understand that narrative, right? And I just want people to understand is that, there is a possibility of a new ownership. Means that a complete overhaul of, a new team, new logo, new everything, right?
Yep.
But again, that is a lot more money that is tied down to it.
Yes,
a lot more money that's just tied down to it, But with this new, possibly a new owner and a new stadium that is coming in 2027. Yep, 2027 is where we will be seeing a new stadium in full effect, right?
Done being built, or they're breaking ground in 2027.
Well, so from what we heard is, they said that there will be a new stadium in 2027. So pretty much what happens is, the contract ends in 2027.
The FedEx Field.
Yeah, the contract with FedEx Field ends in 2027. So what that matter is, right now what they can do is they can start footing the bill towards whatever city decides to have this, right? And right now Virginia and Loudoun County has made their Governor Youngkin, the new governor, has already made his statement inside of the bill. Said, "Hey, we want the Washington Commanders here," and everybody was like, "Oh no, they're gonna move to Virginia." And then Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, said, "Hey, we want to put our name in the running too." So now we're just waiting for Governor Hogan to see what he's going to do as far as keeping the team in Maryland. But this is going to be very interesting to see which city is going to make the run. And I think Muriel Bowser really wants Washington back in DC. They're already talking about the plans of redoing RFK Stadium and things like that. So and it's very good to see these things go back in the running.
Yeah, that'll be interesting. I mean, if we were watching the Virginia Commanders, I don't know what the heck I'd do.
That's funny. Other words and other news, we're going to talk about the keys to victory to this Rams and Bengals game, the Super Bowl, the grandest stage of them all. Let's talk about the Super Bowl victory, right? What does the Bengals have to do to secure this victory against the Rams?
Be themselves.
Not be themselves.
I'm gonna actually piggyback off that. Honestly, I think if the Bengals try to change anything that they've done up to this point, they're fools. I think it's all about exactly what you said, Albatross, and it's maintaining who they are and who they've been up to this point. Do we need that offensive line to show up in a big way? Yes. But look at the skill players.
Sack him 9 times and he'll win.
That's what I was just saying. It's the skill players too. Like we need a healthy dose of Joe Mixon. We need a steady Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins showing. If we get those popping up, Jamar Chase is he's going to torch all day. And it's funny to me. It's funny this week listening to a couple people talk about some things, and Eric Weddle thinking that he's going to lock up T. Higgins. That's laughable.
Yeah.
Like you came out of retirement for I'm not sure what purpose, but came out of retirement, and now all of a sudden you think you can lock down this one of the best slot guys in football?
He's been highly effective though. Let's just say Eric Weddle has been very effective on defense this season.
He has, but at the same time, Higgins has been just as efficient.
I'm just going to call the Rams out. I'm just tired of pussyfooting around it. I'm going to call them out. They had to have a man card check to win the NFC Championship game, okay? There was nothing more than that. It wasn't a football game. It was a man check. Are you a man or are you not a man? And guess what? They had to come out and they barely proved that they were a man. Like I'm telling you, the Rams, they're not as good as people think. They sold the whole kitchen sink. They sold their baby's mama's room. They sold everything just to get a football team that can get into the Super Bowl. Because, Aaron Donald is 32 years old. You have Detroit Stafford, who, I'm sorry, he doesn't deserve a damn thing. Maybe that's horrible.
Wait a minute.
Damn thing. No, he doesn't.
Okay, now we're getting spicy. Folks.
No, he doesn't deserve anything. I said a long time ago, Detroit, he's a good quarterback, right? He has arguably one of the greatest generational talents of all time, a wide receiver, and Calvin Johnson, and he still couldn't win. So you come out here and you go to LA and you think that now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, well, Matthew Stafford, he is a good quarterback. Well, no, I was sold on that a long time ago. He doesn't deserve anything. He threw the ball.
Now we're getting spicy, folks.
Hit him right in the chest pad, and he might as well just send him a thank you note. Like, just send him and his family a happy Merry Christmas. Thank you for making my dreams come true.
And make sure you give a nice charitable cause to his foundation.
To his foundation, exactly. I'm over it, and here's my big question. Who's going to guard Jamar Chase? And don't tell me Jalen Ramsey, because Jalen Ramsey.
Oh, it's Ramsey. He's going to lock him up all day.
No, Jamar Chase is better than Brandon Ayuk, and Brandon Ayuk smokes Jalen Ramsey. And wait, Jimmy Garoppolo is a bad quarterback, but he throws all over Jalen Ramsey all the time. I'm telling you, the Rams are junk. They have been junk. They will continue to be junk. And Joe Burrow and the boys are going to smoke a big old fatty right after they win the Super Bowl.
You sound like a homer.
Mic drop.
So now we're going to get spicy, right? So now I'm going to talk about how great Matt Stafford is, okay? I'm a big Matt Stafford advocate, okay?
There's some problems here. Something's coming through. Okay.
So listen, let me tell you about Matthew the GOAT Stafford, okay?
Whoa.
Let me tell you.
Is this Dan
Orlovsky?
Let me tell you about Matt Stafford, okay?
We need some DO for that stink.
This guy, Matt Stafford, is the guy who only has 4, maybe 3 seasons when he hasn't had 4,000 yards or more, right? He consistently pulls out 4,000-yard seasons, even without Calvin Johnson. Even with the injury-prone Kenny Galladay, still was able to pull out 4,000-yard seasons, but it was the coaching, obviously.
He had Golden Tate.
Oh, yeah.
Golden Tate, you're not talking about blow the top off, but a possession receiver who, let's be honest, if Golden Tate is not on that Seattle team when they win the Super Bowl, they probably don't play as well as they did.
I guess, but still was able to pull out 4,000-yard seasons. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely a coaching thing. It was definitely a coaching problem in Detroit. For God's sake, you had Matt Patricia as your coach. Like, come on, I'm
going to pull out a Mike McDaniel line here. I've never seen a quarterback win a game by himself, ever. You have to have guys that catch it for you. And I'm pretty sure you have to have guys who can block for you to get that ball off before you get tackled. So it's all a combination of things.
Aaron Rodgers can do it by himself, obviously.
No, he can't.
No.
MVP, baby.
You know what
MVP, baby.
You know what I got to say to Aaron?
With Devontae Adams.
We own you, Aaron. We own you.
MVP.
We own him. Ask him
MVP.
Ask him who beats him in the playoffs.
When you look up Aaron Rodgers in Wikipedia, it says the owner is the 49ers.
The 49ers. We own Aaron Rodgers in the fact.
Who's the MVP of this year? Huh? Not Tom Brady. It is.
Why was it not? Why was
discount
it not?
double check? Discount double check.
It's the LeBron James factor. I'm going to give props over here to this guy. It's the LeBron James factor. How do you not give it to the greatest quarterback of all time who played a better season than Aaron Rodgers. Oh, you're going to give it to Aaron Rodgers because he didn't throw a pick in the last 10 weeks? Who threw for the most passing yards? Who threw for the most touchdowns?
Yes.
Period.
Tom Brady threw
won a playoff
Tom Brady
game?
threw 2 picks against Washington.
I mean, who actually won a playoff game?
Was it Washington? Wasn't Washington supposed to be a top 10 defense coming into the season?
Supposed to be, but they fell like starkly below 15.
Hey, look, listen. COVID and injuries.
I had that team as my fantasy defense, and I had to go to the Cowgirls for it.
COVID and injuries. COVID and injuries. Just going to throw that out there, right?
I mean, it's fair. It's fair.
What I tell to my kids? Don't make excuses. Excuses can be truthful and false.
Keep that same energy when you didn't have Kittles, right?
Hey, I love the team no matter what. And again,
absolutely
play hard. We played hard, but again, did Kittle change how that offense runs? No, he didn't actually. That was Deebo Samuel. That was Elijah Mitchell. That was.
We watched this.
You put Trent Williams running down the line. Are you gonna go block him? I ain't gonna go block him. I'm gonna run the other way. Actually, that's scary.
I want no part of that.
So Matt Stafford. Let's go back to Matt Stafford. Matt Stafford the Great. You know what I'm saying? Matt Stafford. Matthew the Great Stafford. Right. So the reason why I love Matt Stafford so much. The reason why I love Matt Stafford so much is I think he has all the bells and the whistles. Right. I think he covers the intangibles. I think he has an arm. I think he has, the read. I think he has the release. Everything that you want in a quarterback is in Matthew Stafford. And this is why they're in the Super Bowl, right? Honestly, I'm going to be very honest. You could have hired any other quarterback and they wouldn't be in the Super Bowl that it isn't Tom Brady, right? You could have traded or signed for any other quarterback with the amount of draft picks that you got, and they wouldn't be in the Super Bowl. I just think that the Rams knew what they wanted. And when they traded for Matt Stafford, with the amount of draft picks that they traded him for, they was like, "What? Seriously?"
If they don't win, I'm gonna have so much fun.
Seriously,
I'm gonna laugh at all the Rams fans.
But hold on, wait. Even if they don't win, I think that them trading for Matt Stafford was one of the brilliant decisions of that franchise of the season. I think them trading for Matt Stafford was the smartest decision for them to make. Goff would never got him to the Super Bowl. Mitchell Trubisky would never got him to the Super Bowl.
Sorry.
I mean, did Jared Goff get him to that Super Bowl?
Did he play it? Did he play it?
Or
he did. Actually.
Or was it that stacked defense that they got rid of after that Super Bowl?
Again, it takes 53 men.
Defense wins games.
Defense wins championships. Ask
there you go.
I'm going to disagree with you. If we were in the 1900s, then I would say you're right. We're in the 2000s now. Offense wins championships. Defense gets you to the point. Okay, I watched a top elite defense lose to a backyard football team. Okay, 2 years ago. Offense wins you championships now. Offense wins you championships.
At the same time,
we watched Washington expose Buccaneers defense single-handedly.
Well, yeah, but when you guys played them, also, I mean, let's be real. How many guys weren't there? How many guys
injuries and COVID
coming back from injuries?
At the time, absolutely, I give you that.
But I hate calling the injury card. I do. I can't stand it because injuries happen all the time.
Yep.
But
it plays a matter in the game. It plays the matter of the game. So
losing Chase Young for that Washington defense was huge. The rest of those guys played at a high level, but if you put a talented guy like Chase on the edge, you're probably doubling someone's stats.
And even those guys on the bench, who came in, were still playing phenomenal. Like I said, this defense was still able to manage, turnovers. Yep. In the second half of the season without, Chase Young, Benjamin St. Juice, Kendall Fuller, William Jackson, without those guys, and even without Landon Collins, these guys will still manage to get turnovers and sacks and things like that. So, absolutely, but back to Matt Stafford, right?
I try to get off of Matt Stafford anytime I can.
But to be honest, it wasn't all Matt Stafford, right? It was them calling OBJ was like, "Hey, my friend, listen. I know you had a little bit of trouble in your career. I know you had some troubles since Cleveland. I know you had troubles in New York. But hey, I want you to come to LA, okay? I want you to play. I want you to be Matt Stafford's wide receiver. I want you to play. I want you to mirror Cooper Kupp. I want you to be a part of something great." And they signed OBJ, right? They brought OBJ in. In let me tell you, I didn't think OBJ was going to bounce back the way he bounced back. And I think him being in LA, and seeing him with Deebo Samuels that night, after the
PR
loss.
move is a PR move. OBJ is
you call it what you want, but I definitely respect OBJ for that, because Deebo Samuel is a talented guy, and the ceiling is up.
Why did it take this year for everyone to recognize that? If we go back and watch 2 years ago, no one says Deebo's a talented guy. 2019, he's playing.
I've always thought, yeah. Well, I see what you're saying, but I've always thought Deebo Samuel was a freak specimen. I always said that he would do great things. Same thing with Brandon Ayuk.
I think we've always seen that Deebo can play at a good level, but I think this year him playing two positions and showing he can be an X factor of a team is why he's getting so much credit he's giving, because he's able to play multiple positions at an elite level. He's not just an elite wide receiver, who you hand the ball off to every so often. He's an elite wide receiver running back.
Do you think that he needs to switch his position to running back?
I think he needs to stay just how he is. I think he needs to stay running routes as much as running the ball. You keep that two position mentality, you're always going to be able to exploit a defense, because you're going to have to prepare for both sides. And then once you prepare for both sides, that will open up more Brandon Ayuk. That'll open up more George Kittle. That'll open up running lanes for Elijah Mitchell. Like, Deebo is going to be the X factor of that team moving forward, and we just saw the tip of the iceberg this year with it.
Yeah. But yeah, but back to the, OBJ, it definitely opened, their offense. But I think their offense was already open with Robert Woods. I think that just filled the gap that Robert Woods was already filling.
Yep.
But, I don't know. Like I said, when it comes down to everything, the Rams are a good team. Yeah, they are. But how do you lose to the 49ers 6 times in a row and have to have that as your fuel
motivation
to push you into the Super Bowl? They just didn't want to get beat 7 times in a row. I don't really know anyone who does. But,
motivation is motivation.
Right, but again, that's why I call it the man check card, and that's why I give more props to the Bengals. The Bengals went into KC, went into Arrowhead. By the way, LA was playing in Levi's South, but Joe Burrow and the boys go into Arrowhead, and they just stayed calm. They stayed cool. They played their game. It's the loudest stadium in the NFL by far, and they handled business. They took Patrick Mahomes, who, and I'll give him credit, and I don't like giving him credit, but he's a better quarterback than Matthew Stafford. And Joe Burrow, in my opinion, is better than both of them. I think Joe Burrow is the reason why the Bengals will win, because his ability to never, ever, ever get rattled. If you get to Matthew Stafford, he'll get rattled. You've seen it. Just watch any game against the 49ers. We hit him, and he gets rattled. He gets bothered. You can hit Joe Burrow right in the mouth. You can spit on the kid, and he'll stand up and still drop 40 on you. And he doesn't
do that, you spit on the kid, he's going to get up, and he's going to throw for 400 on you.
Right. He doesn't care. He is the new Joe Cool. Period. Time to pass the baton.
It's funny that you say that, right? Funny that you say that. Condor here was just saying this earlier.
You see it. It's just press conferences.
Dude, that kid's got so much swag.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Come on. They're asking him if he's wearing fake diamonds, for Christ's sake. Don't waste this man's time.
Yep.
So here's my key to victories for the Bengals, right? first thing first, you have to protect Joe Burrow with the first down play action throws, right? We've seen that Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow is phenomenal when doing these play actions. He was sacked 9 times in the divisional round win over the Titans, and then the Chiefs defense produced a pressure rate of 30% against Cincinnati in the AFC Championship. So it's you have to protect Joe Burrow, and then
the Chiefs only got 1 sack though.
That's true, but they still produced a pressure rate. You know what I'm saying? Pressure is pressure, right?
It is.
But you don't have this is not the Chiefs defense. This is Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, and Greg Gaines, and that Rams defense coming after you. You have to find some type of protection when you're doing these play action plays. Okay. So I think Zach Taylor would make the necessary adjustments to make sure, whether if you got to do a jumbo package or however you got to do this, you have to protect Joe Burrow in this game. Burrow has completed 68% of his throws under center play action, right? And averaging more than 10 yards per attempt, including the playoffs. So, that's one of the things that you do have to look at.
Yep.
Another key to the victory is you have to answer the coverage with this Rams empty sets. When the Rams go empty sets, it's a wrap for any defense as we've seen it, a lot in the regular season and the playoffs. You allow these guys to get into empty sets, you have to find some type of solution for coverage when they're in those empty sets, because it's either going to be Cooper Kupp or OBJ. It's either going to be one of those guys, and the wild card wide receiver, Van Jefferson. So you have to find out what are you going to do with these empty sets. You have to figure out how to utilize Trey Hendrickson and Sam Hubbard. My last key victory is using the formation and alignment to isolate Chase. You have to figure out, how to take the eyes off of Jamar Chase. Jalen Ramsey will be there locked in coverage, and they will be trying to double team Jamar Chase. So you have to figure out what can you do, what formations and what alignments that you can use to take the eyes off of Jamar Chase. Whether he's running some empty sets, or when you're doing these motions, and things like that, you have to figure out a way, because regardless of how you look at it, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase has a chemistry I've never seen with a wide receiver and a quarterback since Tom Brady and Wes Welker.
Mm-hmm. Yep. They know
exactly these two guys. They know exactly where they're going to be, and it helps that they played in college together. It really does help.
I think we can add into that conversation. I think they remind me, and this is a crazy one, but I think they remind me of an early Rodgers Adams. Maybe if we look back, it could be maybe an early Montana Rice connection.
Yeah, but these guys have the advantage, right? Because they played with each other in college.
Yep.
They played with each other in college. So they have the bigger advantage. They have a better advantage with Tua and Jalen Waddle. They have a better advantage, right? But Jalen Waddle and Tua can be great.
Oh, yeah. Can be great. No doubt.
We've seen similar connection there in bits and pieces, with Miami, with Jalen Waddle, with him getting more rotation as the season progressed.
You don't get 104, 106 catches in a season. You don't get that without that connection.
Absolutely. So, honestly, I think that, this is what coaches need to do. When you bring in these wide receivers, you need to figure out who their quarterback is. I get that it's a long shot, but sometimes this is what you got to do to get comfortability with your quarterbacks. You see Washington try to do it with Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin. You know what I'm saying? But let's be honest, I think Joe Burrow would have did much better with Terry McLaurin, because Joe Burrow was the quarterback in Ohio State as well.
Yep.
But Urban Meyer decided to go with
Fields.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Haskins.
Yeah.
And Haskins. So there's those are some things. Let's talk about the keys to victories for the Rams, right? Of course, you got to give Coop. You got to give Coop free access. Just give him free access, on third downs. Cooper Kupp does tremendous on third down. His last game, he caught 7 of 8 targets for 108 yards and 2 scores. McVay just have to put Kupp in a position to run away from the man coverage. The guy has the speed to do it. So it's going to be up to the Bengals and Von Bell and that company of defensive backs that they have to try their best to keep Kupp in check. On defense, you gotta figure out how to scheme Aaron Donald, Von Miller out of multiple fronts. You gotta switch these guys up. You gotta figure out what is the Bengals' weak point of the offensive line. We know the offensive line is weak, but they gotta find that real solid weak point with the Bengals offensive line. They can definitely create a lot of conflict for the Bengals protection scheme on Sunday. Out of what their 5-man front or surface, their 5-man front or their surface, where LA has been playing 3 deep or 3 under zone coverage, and pretty much that we've all seen it. That's where Raheem Morris does well, when it's Von Miller and Aaron Donald getting pressure.
Yep.
So, I think that, it shouldn't be an issue because, like you said, the Bengals have had protection issues with their offensive line. But I think Zach Taylor, who should have been coach of the year, he should have been coach of the year. I think that Zach Taylor will make the necessary adjustments.
I think keys to victory for both offenses. I think both defenses are going to be fine. I really do. I think they'll be okay. They'll play in their, within themselves. The key to the Rams is Sony Michel and Cam Akers. If you can get Sony Michel and Cam Akers rolling, then you start to open up the OBJ Cooper Kupp ability to do what they do.
I'm glad you actually touched on that because that's the next key point that I have written down here, is that you gotta have some type of receiver influence in the run game, right?
Yep.
Cam Akers and Sonny Michel does just that. They can't only run the ball with their feet, but these guys have combined 23 or more carries in all 3 playoff games. Have combined. You know what I'm saying? And we might not see high end efficiency in the run game with the Rams right now, but the volume can definitely be there.
Yep.
With Van Jefferson being 6'3", and their tight end Ben Skowronek. The Rams can definitely can do a lot of misdirection, Jets misdirection, and pretty much wrap a receiver to the far side. So you can do a lot of dual schemes, like those empty sets that we were talking about. Those will be key in this game. But the question is, though, right? The question is that we do have to answer is the problems that they have in the playoffs, right? We can address definitely that. We need to fix the Bengals' third down pass protection.
Yep. Well, and that just boils down to Hendrickson and Hubbard. It really does. If they're going to be able to pin those ears back on third down and go after Stafford, that's going to be key. I think that I watched Trey Hendrickson work himself around Trent Williams multiple times in the game that we played the Bengals. So I think Whitworth. Again, I think Trent Williams is the best left tackle. I think Whitworth is definitely top 3, and Hendrickson can find his way around any tackle in the NFL.
Definitely. And also the Rams will have to fix the problem with the one-on-one coverage with Jamar Chase. We've seen Deebo Samuel's And what's that other wide receiver for San Fran? That young guy that we've been seeing a lot of. Yeah, Juwan Jennings. We've seen those two guys completely annihilate Jalen Ramsey a few times in the San Fran and in the Rams game. We've seen them annihilate Jalen Ramsey a few times, but they gotten away from him. So Jalen Ramsey will have to find. He would have his hands filled. He would have his hands filled with Jamar Chase. Definitely have his hands filled with Jamar Chase. They have to not let Jamar Chase get over 150 yards of receiving, because if he does, there's no stopping him at that point. There's no stopping him at this point.
Yep, I think if the Rams are not careful, they cannot double team Jamar Chase. Someone has to be ready for a one-on-one matchup all game long. If you start to rotate coverage, you're just going to open the door for Higgins and Boyd.
Yep.
And that's the challenging thing about this offense. We haven't even said anything about Joe Mixon. I think Joe Mixon is going to play a really big part in this. He's a big physical back who likes to run downhill. He's fast. Again,
he can also catch the ball.
Exactly, he can catch the ball out on the edge. This is going to be a tough matchup because, again, this is an offense that stretches defenses, not necessarily end zone to end zone, but sideline to sideline. They use all 53 yards across that field to make you work, and that's going to be the challenging thing, I think, for this Rams defense.
Yes, definitely. Look, man, I'm very excited for this Super Bowl. As I know you guys are. This is a Super Bowl that is a must see. This is a Super Bowl that we all and the halftime show goes without being said. The lineup for the halftime show is going to be crazy. But before we leave, I do have a question for you guys. What is your guys' go-to Super Bowl meal?
You got me. Honestly,
big old burrito. Big old happy burrito.
Delicious. Honestly, I think I'm going to have me probably some brisket and some wings.
There you go.
It's the buffalo chicken dip.
Oh, okay. I see you.
Send some over, Condor. Send some over.
You know.
What about yourself? What do you like to grab on?
Buffalo chicken dip and chili dogs.
Chili dogs, man, that's fire.
What's crazy is I don't eat chili dogs on the regular, right? But it's just something about a Super Bowl which screams out chili dogs with green onions and sauerkraut, the whole 9 yards. You know what I'm saying? So,
my mouth waters. It's time to
so it's definitely. But buffalo chicken dip, I love buffalo chicken dip. My sister-in-law, she makes some of the best buffalo chicken dip I can't even begin to explain. And I'm definitely going to ask her something when I get off here if she can make me a nice bowl of it. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So also, I'm going to be cooking actually a big dinner. It is Valentine's Day weekend, so I am going to be cooking a big dinner for the missus, of course. But definitely like my Super Bowl meal is pretty much a Coors Light, nice Coors Light, and some buffalo chicken dip and some Coney Island dogs.
There you go. Sounds good. Sounds like a plan. And you know what would top it off perfectly, my man? A Joe Burrow chip.
Oh.
This is Joe Burrow chip. I would definitely.
Joey B.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? Is that if this kid wins the Super Bowl, right? He breaks the mold for what everybody says. He breaks the mold because
he's the first quarterback ever and first-round pick to take his team to the title game, by what, year 2?
Yeah. But only really have about a year of physical football play in the NFL due to his ACL.
Which shows you how much mentally he's been able to prepare. If we think about before he was drafted, the Bengals had basically informed him way ahead of time that he was drafted, and he was studying the playbook before he was even drafted.
Right, and we talked about this, right? I was actually talking with my buddy of mine, and he said that. I mean, seeing Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl and possibly winning. This isn't the first time that we've seen this. I'm like, but it has. This is the first time that we've seen a guy. This is the first time we've seen any quarterback get injured, and then the following year take his team to the Super Bowl. And he was like, well, Peyton Manning did it. Said Peyton Manning didn't get injured with the Broncos, though. That's what this, he got injured with the Colts. And then I don't think he took the Broncos to the Super Bowl the first year, did he?
No.
Yeah,
it was like
exactly.
Year 2, I think it was.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, I was like, this is the first time where we've seen, Joe Burrow, like a quarterback who got injured, the previous year, and then the next year you go to the Super Bowl. I don't think Brady has even done it. You know what I'm saying? So,
no, it would have been Brady's second year,
right?
When he went, because he was drafted in '99. So yeah, it was, and again, if Mo Lewis doesn't try to kill Drew Bledsoe on the football field, then we don't see Tom Brady anyway.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I hope you guys are excited. I hope you guys are excited for the Super Bowl. I know I am. You look, Albatross, I know you're not really ready to see the Rams win the Super Bowl.
It's not that I'm not ready. It's that I just I have a passion of hating that
team. That's how I feel about the Cowboys. And I'm pretty sure that's how Condor feels about the Patriots
and the Bills.
But don't worry, I share your dislike for the Cowboys. I share that.
Yeah. So before we go, I do want to say this is that the Super Bowl is tomorrow. All right. What are you guys' predictions for the Super Bowl game?
I'm gonna stick with my. I think the Bengals are gonna win, but I think they're gonna win by maybe a touchdown. Maybe I think it's gonna be close. I'm going 27-20.
Condor.
35-21 Bengals.
Woo!
I say that, okay, it'll be close up until the second half when Chase makes 2 crazy touchdowns to separate the Bengals from the Rams.
I like it. Okay.
I'm going to speak from down here, right? Because I'm going to throw a wrench in everybody's plans. 34-31, Matt the Great Stafford.
Oh, my gosh. Stop it.
34-31, Matt the Great Stafford, and Bengals still cover their point spread.
So what are we going to call Matthew Stafford when he loses?
I want to piggyback off for 1 second there. I like that score. So say my score's off, it doesn't happen. I like your score, but I also think it's wrong in the sense of I think we have – look what Tom Brady had when he won his first Super Bowl. He had this amazing kicker. His name was Adam Vinatieri.
Mm-hmm.
And, Joe Burrow, he really has this guy, Evan McFearless. 34-31.
Evan the leg.
Walk-off victory.
He's going to say
off
before he
of
walks on the
McFearless.
sideline, he's going to be like, I'm going to win this Super Bowl for us right now.
Yep.
I
can totally see that happening.
Joe Cool and McFearless.
Yep.
Yeah, Joe Cool and McFearless. Now we should come up with a nickname for Chase.
The Chase. I mean, it don't get no better than the Chase, The Chase, McFearless, and Joe Cool.
Yep. Jackpot Joe's coming for that title, buddy. I'm telling you.
He is. Good old Jackpot.
Jackpot Joe.
Smoking Joe.
No, it's going to be a good game. I really do. No matter what, I think we're going to have
Matt the Great Stafford.
Matt the
Great Stafford.
Is going to throw some picks tomorrow like the Detroit days?
So let me ask you this. Matt Stafford wins the Super Bowl. Does he get considered in the Hall of Fame?
I think he's already if we're talking about Phillip Rivers being a Hall of Fame quarterback, I think we need to talk about Matthew Stafford being a Hall of Fame quarterback, regardless of a football Super Bowl.
Does it solidify his consideration.
Well, yeah.
If Rams win tomorrow, he's solidified as a Hall of Famer.
But in my opinion, I think he's already solidified. I mean, he was the start of those early years of people throwing for 5,000 yards plus. So, I mean, like I said, I give the guy credit. I was tooting the Matthew Stafford horn when he was in Detroit, but no one wanted to listen to that one. But then, but again, he's a good quarterback. Just like I say to my brother all the time, you can take Stafford out of Detroit, but you can't take Detroit out of Stafford. So it'll peek its head out. He'll throw a couple picks here and here, in the game.
You like pick here, pick there. Well, 34-31, met the great Stafford. OBJ 3 touchdowns. It's gonna be great.
I love it. Joe Burrow and the Bengals. They're pulling out that dub. First one for their franchise.
This is exciting. I haven't been this excited for the Super Bowl in a while, to be honest with you. I got sick and tired of seeing Brady and Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and, those guys who's definitely deserving of being in the Super Bowl. But I got tired of seeing Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Got tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes. I am so glad to see guys who never been to the Super Bowl a day in their life.
Yep.
Met the great Stafford and smoking Joe Burrow.
Yep. I think we should just enjoy the moment. Enjoy having Joe Burrow there, Matthew Stafford. Just enjoy the 4 quarters and hopefully have a good football game, honestly.
Absolutely. Well, folks, we are at the end of the wraps here. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Always remember that this podcast is brought to you by Velocity Sports. And we hope you guys enjoy that Super Bowl. Make sure you eat tons of food and drink plenty of beer. If you're not a drinker, then drink plenty of iced tea,
Or water. Stay hydrated.
Or water. Stay hydrated. You're going to need it. All right? But you guys know who it is. I am Magpie. This is Condor. And this is Albatross. And we bid you good eating and good football. You guys enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out.